Welcome to our Projects in iOS course from Edgeonics. My name is Brett. In this lesson, we're going to start positioning elements on the app UI in Xcode and basically start building up the UI. Now we're going to go ahead and start adding UI elements to our scenes. So we have scene 1 here, we have our scene 2 here. One of the first things we're going to need to do is add a table view. And over here in the object library, you type in table, you'll get a table view, this one here, which I'll drag out. And what I want is to go ahead and position it all to consume this entire area. So I'm going to click on, let's see, not the attributes inspector, but the sizing inspector. And under arrange, I want to do fill horizontally and fill vertically. And then that, I believe, will handle our table view. So if I run this now, and our table view is consuming this whole area here. So I'm going to go ahead and stop that. And we need a cell. So just under our table view, we have table view cell, which I can drag and just place here. And for the table view cell, we're going to need an ID. So if we go into the attributes inspector, I can just do cell, and we'll eventually use that. Now I want to go ahead and just make sure the table view is firing off. So I'm going to do a UI table view. We're going to need a delegate, and we're going to need a data source. UI table view, data source. Now we'll need a few methods. So let's see here. I'm going to create a mark for table view. Under here, we can do table view, number of rows in section. So the number of rows, I'll just do 10. Then we're going to need for sections. Let's see here. Can edit, move. So there are a few others that we're going to need. Cell for row at index path we'll definitely need. So we need the number of sections. See, number of sections, we're going to return 1. And can remove this elm up here. All right, so that should handle the table view. I'm going to put some breakpoints to make sure these are firing. And then what I want is to go ahead and start adding elements over here to this view. So we need something at the top, which is just going to be a label for the questions. So I'll add that there. And inside of our attributes inspector, or actually the sizing inspector, I'm going to set fill horizontally. And then I'm going to make sure this has 2 lines. Some of these questions might be a little bit long. So right here under lines in the attributes inspector, I'm going to do 2. Back in the sizing inspector, I need to accommodate for that. So I've got 21 height. I'm going to do a 42 height right now. Then we're going to have a button under this. And this is our give up button. So here I'm just going to do give up. Do a capital U on that. And I think we have enough width. Okay, so I want this to, I'm going to fill horizontally, and I think I'm going to align it right there, or actually right here, because what we're going to do is we're going to create this gray background. So if we go back into our mockup, we have this gray background right here, and we need to handle that. So I am going to add a view for that. Let's go down to just a regular view, collection, text view. I think it's further to the bottom. Here it is. And I add that, let's see, right there. And like this. So down here, I need my button on top of this. I'm just going to drag it up, and there we go. And let's see, for this view, I can have that arrange and fill horizontally. There we go. And now what we need are a few buttons below this, but we need to change this to a gray. So the attributes inspector, we have background is white. We want this lighter gray looks good. So we'll do that. Then down here, we want to just change this bottom part to gray, I believe. So let's see, go back into our mockup. We have the top gray. So maybe we want to keep that. So if I go back over here, we have this view, which has a white color. Can select this orange, and that's what's going to happen. Of course, this right here changes, but we should be able to change that background. Let's see. So the label color is white. We have highlighted, default. You can see through. I think, no, that's not it. Let's see. Tint, here's the background. All right, we want white. Well, we have white. So let's try tint. I don't think that's going to do it. Right now, it is just see-through. So we know this isn't. Actually, it is. But I wonder, all right, there we go. Now the white's working. And I need to bring this up, not the give up button, but this view, so that these two are like that. And this, I want to be inside of the view because then I can do some arrangements with it. So I'm going to do that. And in the sizing inspector, this is all going to position in the container. So I'm going to fill container horizontally and center vertically just in the container. So that handles that part. Now let's see. I think that works. So if we run this, I think it will be out of alignment some. Well, actually, we can't run it because we don't have our segue. So we will need a segue over here. So before I add all the buttons, I'm going to try and get some of that going. Our prototype cell, we can go ahead and add the top label, the image view to it. So let's see, we have our cell. And what I want are two labels. And let's see, actually I'm going to add the image first, then the labels will go next to it. So here's the image view, which I will add here. Definitely going to need to resize that. So maybe something like that, or this. We're going to need to resize the prototype cell because it is not going to be tall enough. So I'm going to bring this down to, I guess, about there. The image view, we can do maybe this. So let's see, where's our cell height? Okay. And going to just do this. So it's kind of going to be a test as to what I want this to look like once the actual images are there. Now I'll get the labels. So we'll have a top label, and I'm going to drag that out, category name. And for the font on that in the attributes inspector, I want something a little more bold, I guess a semi-bold. Then I'll do another label for the count here, and I want that to be light and not as big. So 15, 14. 14 is good because it creates a good contrast between these two labels. And now we can run this, check out our UI, see how things are lining up. So we get a build failure. Placeholder source, right? So this is going to want some kind of cell. So I need to return a UI table view cell. I'm going to do var, let's see, var cell, UI table view cell equals new. Well, actually, I wonder if it's going to let me return. I don't think it will. An optional. No, it won't. I'm thinking it won't. use of undeclared UI table view data. I want a cell here. And down here. Okay, so we can force unwrap this. I think that's going to be fine because this is not returning any kind of optional. So when you force unwrap, you're basically not returning any kind of optional. And I'm going to try and run it now, see if we can get a build. Looks like we may have that. All right. And okay, so here's our UI. So nothing on that, obviously. So we're going to create a segue now and try to fill this in a little bit. So let's see here. We're creating a cell. We need to actually create a view controller for our cell. But let's see if we can get the segue working first. So on this prototype cell, we want an indicator so that the user will know they can go over to another scene. So let's see here. We have accessory, disclosure, detail, disclosure I think works. So we get this little kind of like a chevron over here on the right hand side. And now what we need to do is control drag from the cell over here. It's going to do the segue for us. I'm going to do a show. And now we got some navigation going on. But what is that going to do to our question text? So we're going to have to see what happens there. Up here, we can add our application name. So let's see where, right here, title, super quiz. And I don't know if that's going to show up right here. All right, so let's run that and see if the segue is working and then what our detail view looks like at this point. So our application name is not there. Our chevron is not there. So let's see, we can't click. I think we're going to need some kind of actual data. Let's see here, just returning empty cells at this point. And we're returning 10 of those. So let's see, there is a label available, text label, text test. All right, so if I run that, I don't know if we're going to be able to see it because we have our other labels. Go ahead and unwrap that. So the labels we've added may actually overwrite this so that we can't see those particular ones. Yeah, and I think that's what's going on here. So we'll need to add a view controller for our prototype cell so that we can then get some real data into it and cast this as our custom cell type.